Good morning. Today's a good day because we're building another engine. Welcome back to Phil's Engines. In the last video, we tore down a 3.6 liter Pentastar, which was what's called a pug engine, which I call the second generation of the 3.6 liter Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge Pentastar engines. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through how to assemble a first generation Pentastar engine. This is gonna be a 3-part series, and part 1 today, we're gonna start out with going through the cylinder heads, final cleaning the cylinder heads after it came back from the machine shop, lapping the valves, assembling it fully, and getting it ready for installation. I wanna make a couple disclosures in this video for all the Hawkeyes out there. I'm gonna be working on several different engines at the same time. Usually it takes me about 8 hours to fully assemble one of those engines, but we don't have that time today. So I prepared different parts of the engine in different stages. So you might be seeing a different coloration on a cylinder head, different pistons, and that is simply because I prepped multiple engines and multiple cylinder heads in different stages so we can jump right to the next step without having to spend too much time on it. There's gonna be some things I'll go into more detail and some things where I won't go too far into detail. However, if you would like to see more detail for one of the things, I'm gonna be making more of those videos in the future, and I can always add specific parts of the process. Just let me know in the comments if you wanna see something a little bit more detailed or have any questions about how to do something more in detail. If this is the first video you're seeing of me, welcome to my channel. I'm glad to have you here. We just got this head back from the machine shop. This head was actually in pretty good condition. All we had them do is resurface the head gasket surface. It didn't need any valve work or valve guide work. So the first thing I always do when I get something back from the machine shop is anything that was machined surface-wise, I tape up. So I won't scratch it, I won't damage it. Even though we still have to clean this, clean this, I want it to be protected for the first couple steps that we do. Each and every one of my builds, I do replace the valves with new valves, and I lap the valves to reseat them to just have a good seal. And after we did that, we're gonna do a vacuum check of the ports, and I'll show you how to do that. I already lapped 11 out of the 12 valves just to make this a little shorter, but I will show you the process of lapping the last valve. And once that last valve is lapped, we're gonna go and give this head a final wash, a final rinse down. Because one thing I can tell you about machine shops, no matter how good a machine shop is, I like to final wash everything, because at the end of the day, if you're doing this for a customer, you might get it back, you might have an issue, and you will be the one responsible. When they resurface it, they usually throw it in the wash, and in that wash, depending on what spray cabinet they have and what detergent they use, sometimes the valve seats and the valve guides can get a little flash rusty, which is not super terrible, but I like to clean that up. So I have no issues with the valves. So all I'm using is just a little Scotch-Brite with a little bit of penetrating oil. You can use WD-40, and all I'm doing is I'm just going over these. You don't have to be worried about the valve seats themselves. They're hardened steel, so they have no problem taking the Scotch-Brite. And since we were lapping those and checking those, I'm not worried about it at all. The valve guides are cast iron on those engines, and I like to just run through with a little nylon bottle brush and clean them out again from the flash rust just before I put the valves in, just to make sure I don't damage any of the surfaces in there. And this is a nylon brush, so I'm not worried about it damaging anything or opening that hole up further. Okay, so now that we did a quick clean on the valve guides and the valve seat surfaces, we're gonna go ahead and put a little bit of our lapping paste on the valve surface, the valve seat surface right there on the valve. There we go. That's plenty. And then we take a little bit of oil and just put the last tip of the valve, make it a little oily, and put it in the guide. So it should just fall in just like that. There's multiple ways you can lap a valve. I've seen so many different ways to lap a valve. I have a little pneumatic hammer tool that I sometimes use. I have tried it with putting a tube on the back end of it and using a drill. But at the end of the day, what I've found, what works the best and actually quite the quickest, is just using a good old valve lapping tool with a little suction cup on it. If you have a good valve seat, it doesn't need much. And so what we do is we just put the suction cup on it, light pressure down, and we just start grinding. As you're doing it, you will start to hear a change in pitch. And hopefully, you just heard that on camera. It becomes quieter and quieter. And that already sounds pretty good to me. The valve has to fully seal against the valve seat in order to keep the compression and the combustion in the engine. Modern machines are able to machine both the valve and the seat so perfectly that lapping is mostly unnecessary. But in the past, machining wasn't as precise, and the little difference between the valve seat and the valve itself, we used a gritty paste, which is a lapping paste. In this case, this is a 320 grit paste that we put in between both surfaces, applied pressure and movement, and that paste now sands both surfaces to one another. It basically matches each other, and that helps to fully seat both surfaces onto one another and seal that space up perfectly. You will see here in a second, when we vacuum check this, it will give us the final result. So I specialize in these 3.6 liter Pentastars. That's basically the only engine that I work on. And I really don't like to do things twice or take things back apart. So I try to do it right the first time and double check every little bit of it just to make sure I won't have to pull it out of a customer's car ever again. Now that we have lapped all the valves, we're gonna put all the valves in, vacuum check all the ports, and if everything is good, we're gonna go for the final clean and the final wash so we can start assembling. We got all the valves in. What I use to vacuum check is just a simple vacuum pump like you would use to vacuum a air conditioning system or use for other things. But all I use is just a simple vacuum pump, and I made myself this little contraption with a vacuum gauge, the right fittings, and these plates you can buy to check ports. They seal up nicely around the ports, and you can apply a vacuum to every single port. This engine is something a little special that not a lot of engines have. It has no separate exhaust ports. It only has one separate exhaust port that goes into a what's called a maniverter, which is a manifold and a catalytic converter in one. So when we check the exhaust ports, we're checking all 6 exhaust ports at once. So this reading can be slightly lower than I'd like to see it, simply for the reason you're checking 6 sealing surfaces versus 2 sealing surfaces. Excellent. Wonderful. They're sealing perfect. If you really paid attention, you saw that on the exhaust side, it was just slightly below 80 kilopascal. And on the 3 intake sides, it was about 80 kilopascal. And 80 kilopascal is the number that I want to see. But again, we're checking 6 valves instead of just 2 on the exhaust port. So if it's slightly lower, I'm not super worried about it. This will seal perfectly fine. There we Go. Final wash is fairly straightforward. All you want to use is just some soapy water. I use some regular dish soap. I don't want anything aggressive. All the cleaning for the rough, oily, and grimy stuff has already been done. So all I'm trying to do on the final wash is get any particles, any specks of dust, any machining, shavings that might have been left in the cavities and the holes. I'm just trying to get that out, and so I'm just trying to break it loose and flush it out. I have this engine wire brush. I'm just gonna go straight down the galleys, and then for all the other holes, I have a smaller bottle brush, and we can go through all the holes and clean them back out. Once we got all the cavities clean, you're just gonna rinse it out. Immediately after washing, you wanna blow out everything that is steel and can rust, like the valve guides and the valve seats, and apply some WD-40 so you don't have any flash rust issues. So now we can let the rest of this cylinder head air dry, and we'll move along with the next head that is ready for the next step. Since we had to take the tape off after the cleaning because the tape got wet and all wrinkly, this is a great stage to just double check the surface and make sure the machine shop did a good job. So what we're using is just a straight edge onto the surface with a 1/1000 feeler gauge, and that feeler gauge should not go through anywhere, and I don't want to force this through. All I want to do is hold it like this and tap it against my straight edge as the straight edge is just sitting on the surface. And I wanna try that on multiple spots, so I go one time on the outside edge. Between the cylinders is really important. And then on this side. And then we wanna go diagonally. Excellent, a little bit right there, but that's not bad. So the allowance on this head is 3.5 thousandths, but that is 3.5 thousandths between the block and the head. That means if your block is 3 thousandths out, your head can only be 0.5 thousandths out in order to create that maximum of 3.5 thousandths warpage. This looks perfect, good job. And now putting another layer of tape on to protect the work. Now that we have checked our valve seats, everything is lapped, we checked our valve stem tip height, we can start assembling the cylinder head. First step in that process is below every spring we have these little spring washers that sit right under the valve spring. Don't forget to put those on before you put the valve guide seats on. So we're gonna start with those. To install the valve guide seats, I use this cheap little installer, super inexpensive tool. Put the valve guide seal on, and I like to just put a drop of oil in the seal onto the valve guide, and then just light pressure, and you can hear it kind of plop into place, and that's all it needs. With all the valve guide seals installed, we can now go ahead and install all the valves. Take this shut. With all valves in place, we now brought the cylinder head over to my little homemade cylinder head bench, and we can start putting the valve springs in. Our little washer for underneath the valve spring is installed. Double check that when you put it together. Then goes the valve. Then we install the valve spring retainer. And lastly, we're gonna put in our little keepers. So this contraption here makes this process very simple because it's foot activated, so I have both hands to do this. So we got the valve spring underneath, then we got the valve spring retainer and the keepers. Now with all the valves in, I'm gonna do a last vacuum check of all the ports just to make sure everything seals up the way it's supposed to. So for the last step in this process, before we finish up the cylinder head and bag the cylinder head to protect it, we have to add the oil galley plugs, which are these little M8 screws that go into here. Chrysler had a lot of problems on the first few years of these cylinder heads where this bolt, this galley plug, actually backed out by itself. They weren't tight enough. And if they come out all the way, you lose all your oil pressure. So it's really important that we torque this correctly. And what I like to add is a little bit of thread sealant, which holds the bolt in and also seals it up so no oil can get pushed past it. So we're just gonna apply a little bit of it, get it started.
If I'm a mechanic working on this engine and that exact problem that you just described is happening and the engine is installed in the car, how long of a job, like how many hours am I spending doing that job to get to those bolts?
Should this be your only issue on your engine, I would say, depending on the vehicle, you spend between 5 to 10 hours at the very least to fix this, if you're an unexperienced DIYer. The correct torque spec for these galley plugs is 9 foot-pounds. So let's go ahead and give it that. All right, so this concludes the full assembly of our cylinder head. This is now ready for installation. We're gonna go ahead and bag this up to protect it. This brings me to the end of our part 1 of the 3-part series of how to put one of those engines together. Stay tuned, like, comment, subscribe, and follow along if you wanna see me put the bottom end together and then do the final assembly in the other 2 parts.